B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The Moose.
You might not be an A, but you are a B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? 'Cause we're steady on the ground, steady on the ground.
Alright, ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, welcome to another B Plus podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Friday. You know what that means. It's Aussie Grapps Day, our favorite day here at the B Plus podcast. Today we sit down to take a look at everything happening in the world of Australian professional wrestling. We also like to catch up with an Aussie grappler or grappler adjacent person. This week, I'm speaking with Ricky South, one of the wrestlers who will compete in the PWA Colosseum tournament, which I'm very excited to attend in a couple of weeks' time. He is the first man to set foot in the Colosseum twice, which is a special feat in and of itself. So we'll talk to him shortly, but first, let's take a look at this week in Aussie Grapps news. Today was a huge day. As I'm recording this, it's Thursday afternoon. We had the first ever edition of the Wednesday Night Wars AEW Dynamite NXT on USA. This isn't really Aussie Grapps related, but there's huge implications for the entire wrestling world. We are in a war period again. It's the Thursday morning wars for us here in Australia. I think that's what I'm going to call them from now on. The Thursday morning wars. We've got Shane Thorne had a match on NXT today with Johnny Gargano. It was an absolute barnstormer of a match. It was probably my favorite match on the NXT. Oh no, actually it wasn't. But it was very close. It was very close to being my favorite match on the NXT broadcast. Brilliant stuff. Shane Thorne absolutely killing it in NXT. Very much looking forward to seeing where he goes. He didn't pick up the win, but it was a star-making performance in my opinion. And when we get the ratings, we'll know just how many people were watching. But it's been 1 million viewers or so on NXT the last few weeks. So 1 million eyes just in America alone on our boy Shane Thorne in NXT. So very excited about the developments here. Unfortunately, we don't get to watch NXT live in Australia. I had to pull up a sneaky illegal stream in order to watch, but it does become available 24 hours later on the WWE network. So if anyone wants to go check out that match, I give it a highly recommend. Something else I highly recommend, something I watched at the beginning of the week, well, last weekend. Nui Pro presented their latest house show or Hoose show, Boats and Hoose at the Hoose of Free Fighting there. It was an amazing show, top to bottom. It really was. Like, I always expect good things from Nui Pro. I always expect good things from the Hoose of Free Fighting. But this show, seriously, it was just exceptional top to bottom. It just felt like everyone was firing on all cylinders throughout the entire night. Robbie Eagles made a surprise appearance, having a fantastic match with Will Kiedis. We also got treated to a special appearance of Matam Hofberg, Addie Wallman. Take your pick. It was Adam Hoffman cosplaying as Maddie Wahlberg, doing the entrance, doing the moves. He had a blue cup. It was fucking brilliant. It was the greatest thing I've seen in a long time. Like, and we were treated to James Adultman not long ago. It's the best thing since James Adultman is Matam Hofberg. I'm huge fan. I hope we can see him at Colosseum. We won't, but it would be lovely if we could. Adam Hoffman doing wonderful work there at the Hoose Show. Well worth the price of admission alone. You can watch it on OVO Play, of course, $7 a week or $10 a month, and you get a bunch of shows. If you get it now, you'll be getting those 2 Colosseum shows live as well from PWA, so it's definitely worth your money, and it's worth the money just to see Matam Hofberg or Addie Wahlberg and Robbie Eagles and all the guys that put on a brilliant show there at the Hoose last weekend. Also last weekend, we had new champs crowned across Australia. Tar Lee, good friend of the show, she won the Venom Pro Wrestling Women's Championship up in Queensland. Brooksy won the Suplex Junior Heavyweight Championship. So congratulations to all the new champs around the country. There may be others that I don't know about. It's very hard to get across absolutely everything that's happening in the world of Australian wrestling because there's a lot happening. Australian wrestling is booming right now, and a big contributing factor to the booming of Australian professional wrestling, in my opinion, is PWA. We've got the Colosseum tournament coming up. I've been talking about it a lot. We're heading into October now. We're in October now, and so we're in Colosseum season. It's happening. It's just a couple of weeks away. We had the announcement last week that Rory Gulak is coming down from America to participate, not in the Colosseum tournament itself, but in the Colosseum show And we got a match that he will be participating in on, I believe it was night 2. He's going to face off against Tree Hugger Lucci. Talk about matches I didn't know I needed. Big fan of Tree Hugger Lucci. I think this is going to be a star-making performance for him. Really happy to see him get a match against Rory Gulak. He's going to get stretched to hell. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. We also found out that we're going to have a number 1 contenders match for the PWWA title with Big Fudge, Airbender Royce Chambers. Great seeing Royce Chambers on PWA. Steph DeLander and Headhunter Rig in 4-way action to determine a number 1 contender. That's also taking place on night 2. Seriously, very happy to see my boy Royce Chambers getting bookings all over the place because he's making his MCW debut shortly as well. So it's amazing stuff. Big fan of Airbender Royce. He's definitely one to look out for. I have spoken to him on the show, so you can always go back in the archives and listen to that. We've also got Marcus Cool coming back to Australia for the Colosseum shows. Marcus Cool, also someone I've spoken to. Go back in the archives, listen to it. It's amazing. Spoke to him just before his big double championship match with Slex. It's a good chat. Definitely go back and listen to it. Marcus Cool, went viral, obviously, a few times now. He's gone viral with MCW with his yellow card, red card shtick, and then with the shoes at PWA Colosseum, and the shoes went over the ropes. It was amazing. So Marcus Cool is definitely someone to be excited for, and I'm very, very excited to see him live again in the coming weeks. We've also had the brackets announced for the actual Colosseum tournament, and we've had brackets announced for the MCW Women's Championship tournament taking place next week at MCW 9. So just looking at the brackets quickly, I'm predicting Maddie Wahlberg versus Travis Banks in the final, though our guest this week, Ricky South, he is a very real possibility for the final as well, so we'll have a listen to who he wants to be facing off against. He had the knowledge of the brackets before we spoke. I did not, so we'll see who he wants to be facing off against at the end of the tournament there. When we speak to him very shortly. In the Melbourne side of things, I'm thinking Kellyanne versus Avery makes sense as the final. Jessica Troy versus Avery could be a great final as well, but I'm thinking, semi-final match will get Jessica Troy and Kellyanne doing another one of their classics. That's how the brackets look to me. So that'd be a great spot. That'd be a great match to open night 2, Kellyanne and Jessica Troy. I feel like MCW don't really, not often anyway, put their women's matches in the opener or closer, and I think it'd be really cool to see Kellyanne and Jessica Troy open an MCW night, because that's an amazing fucking match. So, I'm hoping that happens. That's sort of my fantasy booking. Mark Davis has had to pull out of MCW 9, unfortunately, due to injury. Obviously, he was set to the first time Aussie Open were going to wrestle in Australia as a tag team. They were going to challenge for the tag team titles there against the Brat Pack, but unfortunately, he has had to pull out. There will be a replacement announced shortly. It may even be announced by the time this goes up. I haven't. But as of recording, I do have no idea who the replacement is going to be. I couldn't even begin to speculate with the kind of people that we have coming over to the country in October. Who knows who it could be? But the replacement will be announced soon. I believe this injury happened at Bowler, so we wish a speedy recovery, of course, to Mark Davis. We want to see Aussie Open here before they inevitably get signed somewhere else. So we want to see them wrestle in our country. So speedy recovery, Mark. I hope you're doing well. Over in Perth, EPW are at the Royal Show at the moment. They were on the Today Show wrestling with the Weatherman. It was kind of hokey a little bit, but it was better than most mainstream things. Like, it was better than the Footy Show or any of that sort of stuff that they've done, that people have done in the past. This EPW segment on the Today Show was, they were having a laugh and stuff, but it was a bit of fun with the Weatherman. It was a good exposure, though, for EPW at the Royal Show. The Royal Show is a very casual kind of thing. It's great for the wrestlers that are over there, and that they get to have that many matches in that short a time. I spoke about this last week. Very exciting stuff. Speaking of mainstream attention, we've got another wrestler entering a reality show. Charlie Matthews from PCW. He plays a bit of a stud character on PCW. I checked him out earlier this week. He had a match that was uploaded with Nate Cross on this week's PCW Ignition. They're a tag team, him and Nate Cross. But yeah, he plays a bit of a stud character, and now it makes sense. He's going on Love Island. They're looking for love, these 8 beautiful people. I'm not going to lie, it looks absolutely awful. That's my personal tastes. I'm not a fan of trash reality TV. I watched Survivor, and I became a fan of Survivor. I watched Survivor solely because Maddie Wahlberg was going to be on it, and I became a fan throughout the season because it was very compelling television. Something tells me this will not be compelling television, but Charlie Matthews is on it, so I will be watching this Monday, the 7th of October on Channel 9. I can't believe I'm going to watch a show called Love Island. Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess, it's a dating show, right? They put these 8 single people on an island. They're all ridiculously gorgeous, just untouchably good-looking Instagram model people. Why don't normal people ever get it? Like, do normal people... is this the state that we're at in Australia where just your regular, everyday people hate themselves so much that they wouldn't want to see themselves reflected on TV? Is that where we're at? Like, we only want to watch beautiful people? I guess it's not just Australia, it's everywhere. It just bums me out. It's not that they're beautiful. Like, good for them. Good for them that they look that good. You know, they're good, fit, healthy young people are living their life. But I just think it's weird that there's never any normal looking people on these shows. You know, you watch Big Brother, you watch any of these shows. There's never, I mean, Survivor, it makes sense. They have to do some ridiculous physical challenges, but you know, can we just get some diversity in body shapes, especially on dating shows? Like, it normalizes this gross. I don't want to get into it. That's a whole socio-political thing that we can talk about on a different podcast. Maybe one day, who knows? But Charlie Matthews, there's my random ridiculous rant. Charlie Matthews from PCW is going to be on Love Island, so check it out. That's on Channel 9. But you know who's not on Love Island? You know who's gearing up for the Colosseum? That was an awful transition. Ricky South, ladies and gentlemen. I'll cut to the interview now, and I'll go get a drink and, you know, chill a little bit on my weird ideas and come back and tell you what's happening this weekend near you.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Grapps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, OUTBREAK NUTRITION. OUTBREAK NUTRITION are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at OUTBREAK NUTRITION. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout. All right, my guest at this time, joining me by the magic of the internet, provided my dodgy Australian internet holds up, all the way from Oxford Street, Sydney. He is the third man. He is the world's foremost purveyor of flamboyant aggression, to my knowledge. No longer official. You can cancel that. He is Tuff Stuff Ricky South. How are you, my man?
I am swell. No longer official. And may I just add, as long as you got NBN, I think this connection is going to work absolutely beautiful.
I have the worst NBN in
bad
history.
NBN?
Yeah, it drops out. It drops out all the time, and I don't know why. It's really embarrassing when you're like talking to TJP, who's like the coolest dude, and then your internet drops out, and you're just like, I'm really sorry about that, but
Australia, we have like worse internet than Estonia or like Bolivia. So
yeah, no, it's weird because I'm in Adelaide too, and Adelaide's like one of the forgotten cities, you know.
Oh mate, it's a city of churches.
when I had the NBN in Penrith, like I was in Penrith up there, and it was fine, never had an issue. But out here in rural South Australia, I get issues. So
you're not getting the love out there.
No, definitely not. But let's. I wanted to talk about. You've got a huge month coming up for Australian wrestling in general, but for yourself specifically, with the Colosseum tournament, and I want to get to that. But first, I feel like this is your first time on the show. It's been a while. We've wanted to get you on, but this is the first time I've actually had a chance to talk to you. So we want to go way back and talk about your first memories of wrestling. What attracted you to wrestling? What brought you towards? What drew you to this world, this wacky world of pro wrestling?
Oh, this wacky world. Firstly, I want to get the formalities out of the way. Thank you for having me on for the first time. Much appreciated.
Oh, that's my pleasure.
Big fan. But to the question, man, what got me into wrestling, 100% without a doubt, is the first time I probably watched a Shawn Michaels match. And the match that Shawn Michaels had against Triple H was an unsanctioned match when he first came back from his broken back.
Right, yep.
At I think it was Survivor Series.
Yeah.
That was the match that got me, absolutely hooked. I love that match, and I still watch that match in awe today.
When was that? That was early 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2002.
2002,
fucking hardcore sort of match or unsanctioned match with Shawn Michaels in jeans and everything, coming back, born again Christian from broken back and everything. It was beautiful. I loved that.
Yeah, see, I was never a huge Shawn Michaels guy. I guess growing up, I was more the Bret Hart fan, and then he did his back and stuff and went away, and I got into the internet in that period, and you read all the stories and what have you about Shawn Michaels. I was like, that guy sounds like an asshole, but then
he sounds like a douche.
Yeah, but
see, yeah,
looking back now, I'm like, okay, I really appreciate all of his work, but at the time, I wasn't a fan.
I was obviously a fan of the born again Christian Shawn Michaels, so the reborn Shawn Michaels. Then when you learn about his... he
was a changed man.
Oh, boy, was he a changed man. When you learn about the stories of his past, it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one constant is being the greatest wrestler throughout all those years.
Yeah, no, looking back, I realized I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. But was it...
That's all right.
Was it the wrestling that brought you into Shawn Michaels, or was it the flashiness? Because he's always been a very flashy guy.
I think, as you can probably tell, the way that Tuff Stuff really is now, it was definitely the flashiness of Shawn. So just, his gear, the way he moved, the way he posed, just his little the way he would just move his body and just carry himself, all that, plus the wrestling kind of hooked me. Yeah,
he's very he can capture your attention with every little movement.
Spot on, and I don't know, it's not many people in history have that capability. So for me, Shawn Michaels is number one.
Right. So Shawn Michaels got you into it, and when about? So that was around 2003. Whenabouts did you decide? You know what? I'm going to actually spend most, if not all, of my spare time learning how to throw myself hard at the ground and do this thing.
When I was 18, I started up. Fun fact here: I started up at a company called AWE with the wonderful Psychotic.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you were a PWA guy, through and through, from the very first rookie days.
Well, I was pretty much. JT's very much loving this fun fact. For 6 months, I was in AWE training under Psychotic. But after about, I think it was a max of 6 months, I had an epiphany. And I always say that self-awareness is a great skill to have. And I kind of realized that where I'm at is not anywhere where I want to see myself in the next, few months, in the next couple of years. So I obviously reached out to, at that time, probably the head company in Sydney or New South Wales, which was PWA, and that was nearly 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So almost 4 years. Well, actually, I think more than 4 years ago, and then been training with PWA 5-6 times a week ever since.
Right. So talk about chalk and cheese. Not to put down AWE, but PWA. Obviously, Psychotic is an Australian wrestling legend. Up there in New South Wales, very well known. But then,
of course,
when you move over, you're getting trained by guys like Robbie Eagles, a current New Japan wrestler.
Exactly. And it doesn't take a genius to realize that the trainers at PWA, we have Robbie Eagles, wrestling from New Japan. We have Mick Moretti, Caveman Hug, who are absolutely tearing it up, just wrestled on Bowler.
Yeah.
We have bloody Madison Eagles, the number one female wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
no other sort of wrestling school in the country, and I would say nearly, the globe can kind of match up with the level of experience that we have here in the PWA Academy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, for my money, PWA is the top independent company in the world, right? So,
Yep.
and the academy is a big part of that, because the roster, like the talent pool with PWA, is so deep, and that speaks to just how good, the training that goes on at that academy is.
Yeah, no, spot on. And all the trainers and especially the trainees here give everything, or like every sort of session, 110%. So, we're kind of just creating top tier talent, and we're at this stage now where we have, and it's a wonderful problem to have. We have just too many, to the point where like it's hard to give all these people the individual and personalized training and sort of one-on-one mentoring that they deserve to get. So the PWA Academy has just grown exponentially in the last couple of years, and I'm super excited to see where it's going to go in the next 6 months to next couple of years.
Yeah, I found it fascinating that PWA started doing the green label shows, because they're like, look, we've got so many talent that people aren't able to get on shows often enough, so we need to introduce this green label where some of our sort of more mid-card guys will be main eventing that, and then you can have younger guys coming up. But now as well, there's academy shows as well.
Exactly. Like the green label shows, we've only had 2 of them, but both of them got to a point or like were so awesome to be a part of and had such cool environment that everyone from the black label shows wanted to be on the green label shows.
Yeah.
But we can't have that happen, so we got to kind of give equal opportunity out. So hence it's why we created the academy shows, and we've got so that's going to be pretty much the very first time that our brand new recruits or brand new wrestlers are going to be introduced to our audience through OVO, and we saw them on the first PWA Academy show, the likes of, and they are Charlotte, David Streamer, and Nathan Pigeon. Those 3 are known together collectively as the Green Dingoes.
Right, so that explains the green, like, because they were wearing the green tights. It was kind of like a young boy thing.
Kind of like a young boy thing. They're not Mick Moretti fans. They're just
they're not applying for the Green Nation.
No, they're not applying for the Green Nation. No. They're the Green Dingoes. Yeah, so very young liony.
I love it. I'm digging it. Dingoes instead of young lions. We've got dingoes. That's amazing. Yeah, very Australian.
Yeah, so if you ever noticed them do the like weird hand symbols, that's what they're doing.
Right. Okay. It all starts to make sense. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you for clearing that up. So
no worries.
So there's a huge difference though as well. Like you said, everyone from the black label shows wants to be on the green label shows because I mean you're playing a much more intimate room, right?
Yeah.
Which Max Watts is already like there's like it's you want to say intimate. The Max Watts feels like a freaking orgy. Like it's just everyone's fucking it's all love in that venue. It's the best venue in Australia for my money. But
yeah.
It's a smaller room with that same vibe. How's that work?
You know what? Like the Green Label shows, it's a bit different because it's standing room only, as opposed to Max Watts, where people are up on the mezzanine and people still sitting on the ground. But the Green Label shows we're running, everyone's right on the ring, very close to the action, tight, compact in, and you're pretty much, a close stone's throw away from the wrestlers. So I think that's what they really want to come to the shows there for.
Yeah, it's a different vibe, but it's still like obviously Max Watts is a very special venue.
You know what, I think, and I don't want to toot our own horn, but toot away. Max Watts has, I think, become almost, I'll say, the mecca of venues for Australian wrestling. And I'd put that up there with maybe, the Festival Hall that's in Melbourne. And I think another venue that I really want to wrestle at is the HQ, headquarters at that RCW run.
Oh, it's such a good venue, dude.
Yeah.
I love that venue so much.
That's definitely up there as well.
Have you seen when the Pareya did their big entrance and they had like a DJ and the full light rig and stuff?
You know what? I saw like clips of that online, but I wish I was there in person to fully kind of embrace it because when I when Richard South tagged with Unsocial Jordan at RCW's, I think, recovery show of Sub-Zero Pro,
Yes.
we got to experience the Pereira entrance even in their like training academy, and that was surreal. So
Yeah,
I
it's
could only
very
imagine.
high energy, but like that music, like it's similar because HQ is like a dance club, right?
Yeah.
And Max Watts is a rock venue, right? So when
Yeah.
Mick Moretti comes out, or when Jonah Rock comes out in Max Watts, and you feel the ground shake, right? Because of the bass. It was like that, but like I could feel it literally vibrating in my bones. It was insane.
Yeah. So the Pereira's entrance is definitely something something special and something worth experiencing. I only regret I haven't seen it to that degree at the HQ.
At the big joint, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very special. But so going back to PWA and your training and what have you, because we've sort of wandered off into the weeds. When you switched from AWE, did you have any matches at AWE prior under your belt, or?
Yes, I did. I had about 3 or 4 matches under my belt.
Right. And was it one of those things, because I see this come up when you talk to people about like, why don't you go train at this place or go train at that place? And there's all these sort of unseen political things that, I can't because of this and that and whatever. Like, did you encounter any of that? Was there like potential heat, or were you just like, no, this is what's best for me, it doesn't matter, and stuff all that noise?
There was some bit of murmuring and a bit of, hey, what are you doing from one side of the fence. But again, to be honest, if you look at it objectively, PWA is where they have the best trainers, well-renowned trainers. And if anyone really wants to be the best wrestler that they can be and really try and make themselves something, PWA has got to be the place.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I was in Sydney, I trained at Australian Pro Wrestling Gym for a while.
Yep. Under J Law.
Yeah, with J Law. Yeah, and this was
Fantastic.
6 years ago. 6 years ago, I was doing that, and even then, a lot of us were like, "Oh man, once we do because I think at that time Australian Pro Wrestling Gym was still aligned with AWF, and a lot of us were like, man, once we finish this like beginners course and like the intermediate course, like maybe we should look into PWA. Like it's a bit further to drive, but look, because we'd go to the shows and we'd be like, this is kind of where it's at.
Yeah. And I mean, like, a lot of people, when they're wondering about that, they kind of look at, the distance of the travel to PWA or to any other reputable training school as a bit of a hurdle or a bit of a reason not to go. But those people who overlook sort of those obstacles, like we have people traveling in from Canberra, from Penrith, from Central Coast to Newcastle, training with us about 2 to 3, 4 times a week. So in the end, like distance really isn't an issue. They're very few legitimate reasons to actually not come and participate in training. And the bottom line, like really, if you really want it, if you really want to better yourself and really want to see how far you can take this, objectively, PWA has got to be the place.
Yeah, if you want to be the best, you got to be around the best, and I think it's pretty safe to say, especially in New South Wales, the whole PWA Newcastle Pro Alliance, because they're kind of allied a little bit there. Like that's kind of the place to be. Yeah, got to agree with you. Now
100%.
let's talk about the Tuff Stuff character. Yeah?
Yes,
very flamboyant, very out there. How'd you come up with that? And specifically the lipstick. What brought on the lipstick?
Mate, Tuff Stuff is me. I am Tuff Stuff, so Tuff Stuff isn't too much of a character, but Tuff Stuff was brought on by just a lot of the influences that I like in my life. So it's very influenced heavily on a lot of movies and a lot of my favorite sort of musical artists. And something like the lipstick was just a defining characteristic of Tuff Stuff. So and something like that was just a lot different than what was currently happening in wrestling in at least Sydney at the time. So like very rarely would you ever see a dude put on lipstick so proudly and so aggressively, So just something as small as that would instantly set me apart. And if I was to go out there on a show and I was tasked to portray the lovely role of the bad guy, you would not believe how much kids make fun of a guy wearing lipstick. you know.
Yeah.
And whenever they did, oh boy, like I would reel them in real good.
Yeah. Do you find that to be a little bit problematic, though? I mean, do we want kids to be making fun of a guy wearing lipstick?
You know
Kind of
what?
makes the
In a
kids
perfect
the
world-
heel.
Yeah. You know, in an ideal world, we wouldn't want anyone to make fun of anyone sort of wearing lipstick, because if I'm very comfortable wearing that and I enjoy wearing lipstick, and if anyone really decides to make fun of that, then you know that says something about them more than it does about me. But kids are just very innocent, and they don't know anything better. And the way society is and the way the media is, they're brought up that way. You know?
Oh, no, I know. It's hard to avoid. I mean, like we try to be fairly progressive in our ideals here in just in my family, right? But I was watching a stand-up comedian the other day. I'm forgetting her name.
Which comedian? Oh, her name. Okay.
Melinda May or Melissa May, something like that. And she has sort of the Ellen DeGeneres haircut. I feel bad that I've forgotten her name because she was absolutely hilarious. It was on the Netflix Comedians Around the World thing. Yeah. And so we're watching that, and my daughter asked, why does she look like a boy? Right? And I was just like, that's just how she looks. Like, it's
tough topic, man.
But it's like, how do you answer that? Like, it's crazy. And so, it's hard to avoid these, these norms that get pushed onto us. And so that's why I think a character like yours, and being so openly flamboyant and being okay with that, and especially with the story, which we'll get to soon with the social media squad stuff, I think it's a brilliant thing to be putting out there.
Yeah, no, and 100%. And I always try and advocate for open-mindedness and sort of just everyone try and just be themselves and be comfortable who they are. But guaranteed there are sometimes adult men making fun of me, and you better believe I am going to make them bloody eat their words.
Yeah, do you get that a lot, like from members of the crowd? Obviously, like I said, at PWA, that stuff's not happening, and I think a lot of places in New South Wales it probably doesn't happen. But does it happen much?
It does happen, but it's very much the foundation of what I built flamboyant aggression to be. People think that they can try and make fun of me, for wearing my lipstick and being flamboyant and being perceived as funny. But when I get in the ring, when I wrestle, and with my level of intensity and how I try to take people's heads off and break their necks with a pile driver, they kind of are a little contradicted within themselves, because they think, how can someone, so funny and looking so flamboyant be this, tough and aggressive and show this alternative side to what I'm not expecting.
Right. And so it's sort of breaking the mold, breaking the stereotypes as you're presenting them. Like, it's
correct.
Yeah. Like immediately presenting them with an assumption, then undermining it.
Yeah. Like if people think all my wrestling's just going to be ass slaps and kisses and, little airy fairy skipping around and slaps, then, they got another thing coming for them.
Yeah. No, you hit hard.
Thank you. I hit hard.
Yeah.
Love it.
You kiss hard as well, though.
I kiss hard. Fun little side note. When I wrestled Jimmy Havoc at the Star Casino, I hit him a little bit too hard on one thing only. And this was like a hardcore match. And the one thing I hit him a little too hard on was the very first thing in the match where I gave him a big kiss. I came too hard into that kiss. That was the only thing.
And he brought you up on it backstage? That was a bit rough?
No, he brought me up on it and we had a good laugh. So I'm a rough worker, man.
That's it. Because I remember seeing you did the kiss off spot with Dean Valente.
Dean Valente.
At Iron Fist Pro.
At Iron Fist.
Yeah, and I was like, man, that was like, I enjoyed it so much, but there were some people in the crowd at that show that were being like, oh, this isn't what we came here for, sort of thing.
You know what? Fair credit to him, and wrestling's a weird beast. Know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, kind of like a box of chocolates.
Kind of like a box of chocolates, man. And that was one of the nights where I've always wanted to try this out and see how it goes, and I'm very much a fan of trying new things out in the ring. And you know what? I'll go on record and saying it. That night didn't go over too well. Didn't go over the way I wanted it to, and I haven't tried it since.
Yeah. I love that spot, man. And that spot has been taken by other, like I've seen other people do that spot since.
Yeah.
Matt Hayter and Rat Daddy did that spot to just like a raucous ACW crowd, and they ate it up.
They would have eaten that shit up, but I'm not going to take credit for coming up with that spot. That spot was a very classic Danshoku Dinu spot from DDT. So
yeah, but you've taken a lot of inspiration from.
Yeah, very much so. If anyone knows what exactly the Dino driver is, that he's the originator.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that a dream match for you?
Definitely a dream match. 100% a dream match. Me and Danshoku Dino, big dream match for me.
Yeah. Look, we're on the verge of the biggest week. Like, as we're talking right now, we're on the beginning of the biggest week in wrestling history. As people listen to this and when this comes out, it's the end of like the biggest week in wrestling history, probably. How does it feel to be a young wrestler right now, looking at the landscape as it's laid out before you with all the options that are happening?
You know what? As a young wrestler, and this is weird coming from my perspective, you know, and I say this being, you know, I consider myself very fresh in Australian wrestling. Even when I started, nothing like this was even possible, you know. We were running shows out in Casula Powerhouse to, you know, crowds of 80 people, and we had zero content online. But you ask the likes of, honestly, like JT Robinson or Jack Bonza, how wrestling, or even maybe on Social Jordan, how wrestling was, you know, 10, 15 years ago. And they would never in their wildest dreams have believed that, you know, we'd be live streaming, you know, a 2-day tournament all over the world with all these eyes watching us, you know, and, you know, viewers from all these different countries coming here, trying to congregate to Sydney, to Max Watts to watch PWA. No one would have thought of that, even, you know, 3-4 years ago. So the people coming up now have it insanely lucky. So the only other question is just where do we go from here? But we're excited to see. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm talking as well about like just like the wider landscape. Like we've got a new war happening, right, with AEW, WWE. You know, New Japan is bigger than it's ever been. You know, they're posting their biggest years in history, you know, financially and stuff. And so, like, do you look at that and go, like, okay, I want to work towards this, I want to work towards that? I mean, your answer there was very PWA focused, was very Australia focused. Is that sort of where you're at mentally? Like, just keep pushing this, or is there somewhere you want to go?
You know what? I think something that's been a great success to why PWA is currently where it's at is everyone here has the common goal of making, you know, not even PWA, but just Australian wrestling the hotbed, the current place to be. You know, we all here are working for the goal that we don't need to go to, you know, the States or to Mexico or Japan. You know, our ultimate goal is to make PWA the one-stop shop for pro wrestling worldwide.
Right. You guys want to have people coming from the States, from the UK. Well, there is a few people coming from the UK for Colosseum. That's the goal, right? To bring people here.
Yeah. The goal is to bring people here. The goal is for all of us here to not, you know, go anywhere else to seek, you know, wrestling fulfillment. They can get everything that they would ever want from wrestling right here from PWA.
How crazy is that like Jordan, Ozres Gifts, like he's flying over for Colosseum. I mean, he's going to every state and doing a bunch of shows. He's over at the EPW Perth Royal Show at the moment, checking out some of those things. Yeah, but like how crazy is it? He's coming all the way over here for Colosseum.
You know, if you take a step back and you just kind of realize that some of these people are just, you know, altering their lives, you know, to make the sort of pilgrimage over to Australia and check out PWA and Colosseum. It's pretty damn humbling. Like, we have people who are coming from like Germany and other places in Europe just coming for Colosseum.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So, you know, a lot of people here don't take that for granted. So we appreciate it very much, and especially someone like Jordan from Oz Wrestling Gifts, who, you know, in a way is pretty integral in getting a lot of new wrestlers out there to a wider audience. You know, being out in the UK, you know, a lot of the content that he makes reaches a different market that, you know, we wouldn't have potentially been able to, you know, be in front of. So
Yeah, I
it's awesome.
personally know people who have told me like, oh yeah, I signed up to PWA Play because of Ozres gifts. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
yeah, it's crazy the things that he's done. Like the gift thing in general. Like if you get a gift that goes viral, like that's I can't even think of a prior
that went
equivalent.
viral.
Yeah,
I did get a gift that went viral last Colosseum.
you were on the receiving end of one of Paris de Gift's DDTs, right?
Yeah, I was. So.
That's amazing.
But that went viral. You know, no love for me, all the love for Paris on that one.
But you were the base. That's very important. Very important position.
You know what? all the wrestlers liked what I did. You know, all the fans loved Paris. You know,
yeah.
loved the DDT.
You had some gifts go viral out of the Young Lions Cup, right?
I did. You know, wrestling for Chikara, I was lucky enough to get further than current New Japan superstar Robbie Eagles. You know, he didn't get through the first stage.
That's something you're gonna hold on to that and say that forever, aren't you?
Yeah, that's something I say as he's in the same room as me. But yeah, like it was such an awesome experience getting to finally wrestle for Chikara. And, you know, eventually I lost to the eventual winner there, you know, Still Life with Apricots and Pears.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was awesome. With that experience, got to wrestle some really cool people there and make a few connections. And obviously spend a bit of time with our Lord and Savior, Mike Quackenbush.
Yes, indeed. He is a living wrestling god.
Yeah, indeed. You know,
Yeah.
the amount of knowledge that man has amassed over 25 plus years. So it's something else.
Yeah, definitely. Man, you know what though? I hear Jack Bonza talk, and like, I mean, obviously Mike Quackenbush is Mike Quackenbush, but Jack Bonza, I would love to sit under the tree of Jack Bonza. Like, you've got a gift there, right there at home in Jack Bonza with the way he talks about wrestling and storytelling. You
know what? He is very smart. You know, Jack Bonza is a very smart man, and he thinks about wrestling oftentimes in a way that others seem to not even realize, you know, that can be sort of viewed at. So
yeah,
I got to give the man credit. You know, he's a very good thinker. However, I'll go on record and say I think I have a better bridging German suplex than the man. So it's an ongoing debate, but yeah. So
I'll have to see them both side by side in a tag match of some kind.
Please. But I'll give the devil its credit when it's due, and hats off to Mr. Bonza.
Talking about Chikara though, man, King of Trios is something I would like to see. So we talk a lot about teams that we would like to see go to King of Trios, and I'm sure people would want me to say Black Shirt Cool Group, but no, I'm going to say Debauchery, man.
You're going to say Debauchery?
Debauchery. I want to see Debauchery.
What trio of Debauchery?
Yourself.
Yep.
Nikki Van Blair.
Yep.
And Parker.
Oh, wow. That's a good trio. Like, I was just talking with Shazza McKenzie and Jessica Troy, and we came up with the best trios name for us three. And we've already want to start to make our bid for King of Trios 2020.
Right.
So us three will be known collectively as the Power Tough Girls.
The Power Tough Girls. That is amazing.
Right?
All right. So, sorry, Nikki. Sorry, I'm throwing out the Debauchery. Power Tough Girls.
The Power Tough Girls. Anyway.
Let's get it happening.
I would love King of Trios with Debauchery as well. Nikki Van Blair and Parker Thomas. Wonderful trios team right there.
Yeah. Because that's the thing is, and like, we're already, like, I'm looking at the clock right now. We're running out of time. And like, we haven't talked about any of the things. Like, there's so much stuff like with FWA, with Wrestling Go. There's so much to talk about, but because you're everywhere at the moment as well, which is pretty crazy. But I guess the big thing to talk about right now, we're heading towards Colosseum. You've just done this. You're the third man now, right? You've joined Black Shirt Cool Group officially.
100% Black Shirt Cool Group for always, baby.
I don't know if you listen to the show much. I have a bit of a problem with the concept of black shirts being cool.
Really?
Yeah, just because to me the cool thing is the thing that stands out. Right? And at a wrestling show, black shirts.
Yeah. You know, normal black shirts aren't cool, but black shirt cool group shirts, they're cool.
I went on record a few times on Twitter saying I thought that your SMS turtlenecks were a little bit cooler than the black shirt cool group shirts. I'm sorry.
Okay, I
don't want to upset anyone.
No, it's fine. I will give Unsocial Jordan his credit. Okay, as much as I hated and loathed being an SMS, I will give Unsocial Jordan this. He is one of the smartest professional wrestlers that I know.
Yeah.
And that's if anyone knows Unsocial Jordan and has wrestled Unsocial Jordan, they would probably attest to that. And what he did with my stint in SMS and the way he constantly tries to reinvent and revitalize, that group and his character, it's phenomenal to see.
He is super underrated.
Yeah, so people don't know, man. He was our Wrestler of the Year last year. So,
yeah, like voted by you guys, right? By the staff, the roster.
Yep, by the roster, the PWA Wrestler of the Year. So, and there's a reason why. So, Unsocial Jordan, despite me not liking him at all, and despite me, giving him the good old Hogan leg drop, he's one of the best wrestlers we have.
That whole official Richard South story and like the parallels to the NWO stuff, and it was a masterpiece.
Thank you. I mean, it was definitely a slow burn with Tough Stuff being an SMS and just slowly adopting to SMS's ideology and just classic case of Stockholm syndrome and just the
vignettes were brilliant.
Yeah, well, again, that's all hats off to our production team, who's only really one or two people. Actually, let me rephrase it. The people who make the videos is about one or two guys. We have a full production team every show, and I'm going to take this as a sidetrack. I want to give them a bit of loving. Our guys who, work on the live stream, operate the cameras, work backstage, do all the switching, all the audio and all that stuff. We have a team of nearly 10 people doing that. And we got to give them all the love in the world because, my goodness, that stuff is absolutely horrendous and a nightmare and a headache to sort of figure out and do.
Yeah. They're the unsung heroes getting you guys out live to the world.
Oh, man. They are the unsung heroes. And Mr. Bonds has told us that, we treat them like absolute royalty because they basically, as you said, are the ones facilitating us or having our faces projected out to the world.
Yeah. So you guys carrying their bags like you're the young boys for them, is that?
Pretty much.
That's awesome. No, I am planning on speaking to some of the people who do some more of the production elements because I don't just speak to Aussie Grapplers, I speak to Grappler adjacent people as well. So I'm planning on getting some of them on the show so we can talk about Colosseum and live streaming and all of that stuff. But let's talk about Colosseum, right? Now that the whole something I want to bring up first before we get into the actual tournament. We've seen the posts on social media with the shoes, right?
Yes.
Now that the whole thing with SMS has been dealt with, we've put that to the side. Can we pick back up where we left off with Diego?
Whoa, exactly where we left off with Diego?
Yeah.
Maybe not at Colosseum. I got to tell you, I need to focus on other things. I'm wrestling the Godfather of.
Gonna have
Aussie
your game
wrestling.
face on, yeah, for the Godfather.
I got to have my game face on.
Which is a dream match for you, right? You said on Wrestle Radio Australia that one of your Aussie dream matches is Davis Storm.
It is. It is an absolute dream match of mine. Being able to take it to the man who's, been a staple of Aussie wrestling for so long. Being able to show him what I got and what I've learned and what I've amassed over the years that I've been doing this, which is, puny in comparison. I'm very excited and I'm very keen to, take, David Storm's position as the godfather of Australian wrestling now. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, someone else who's in the tournament has taken to calling him the grandfather of Australian wrestling. Your, sometimes colleague, sometimes your friendly rivalry, whatever you guys have going on, Matty Wahlberg.
You know what? There's nothing friendly really about that rivalry. Like, Matty Warburg's probably, and I'll admit, Matty Warburg talks a fair bit of shit, but the one thing that is the most honest thing about him is when he says he's the natural born athlete. That is true in every sense of the word. He is an absolute athlete and a freak and a phenomenon. But I reckon all the shit talking that he does, it's going to bite him in his backside. It already did with UGG, it already did with TJP, and it's going to do the same thing with Colosseum.
Well, I went on record really early, before any competitors were even announced, before Matty was even announced. As soon as he lost the match to UGG, I was like, I think Matty's going to come back with fire. Because at the time, we thought he was going to Fale Dojo for a couple of months. And I thought he's going to come back sharpened and he's gonna go ahead and take the Colosseum. Like, I called it before any competitors were announced. I was like, Matty Warburg's winning this year's Colosseum. Now I look at the field. I look at people such as yourself, such as the arm collector Jessica Troy, and I look at his recent loss against TJP as well, and I'm like, maybe he just talks too much and he's talking his way into these high profile spots, but then it's kind of, choke Warburg choke at the end of the day.
Well, I don't want to stir the pot too much. You said it, I didn't, but
that hits on me.
But one thing that I know training with the man, he doesn't take losses nicely, so he's not the kind of guy to just roll over and kind of hide in a cave. He's the type of guy, if he loses, he's going to work his absolute ass off to obviously get better, not make the same mistake twice. And he's arguably, as I'm sure people know, probably one of the most dangerous individuals in PWA and in Colosseum.
Yeah. Now, with yourself, right? Obviously, the goal going in, you want to win the Colosseum, right? You pointed to the sign. That was amazing, by the way. Getting to do the sign point, how did that feel?
It felt great when I realized where the sign was.
It's over there.
It's over there. Yeah.
It's over there.
But it was a lifelong dream, bucket list ticked off, pointing to the sign.
Pointing to the sign, yeah. And it's the most prestigious sign in all of wrestling, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm just putting that out there. But who would you like to be face-to-face with in that final match? Night 2 of Colosseum, standing across the ring. Who do you want to see there to tie up with?
I mean, we already talked somewhat about him, but I feel like the story needs to climax and crescendo to Matty Warburg versus Tuff Stuff final Colosseum. We are pretty much, I'm going to call it, I'm going to say the new guard of the PWA academies and the new kind of like the new heads, the new guys coming in.
The new standard bearers.
Yeah. The new standard bearers for future generations, baby. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's fitting that us two will have that final match at Colosseum.
Well, you've said it a lot, steel sharpens steel, and you guys have been that for each other, right? So
correct.
To see him, sort of get down on the knee and present you with actual steel might be a good image to close the weekend with.
Well, it would be, but I can guarantee you, Matty Warburg ain't going to take a knee for anyone.
No, he wouldn't.
I ain't taking a knee for him either.
Yeah. But so Matty, that's what you want. You want Matty to get to the final so you can stand across and prove this is it. Like, we are the standard in PWA.
Yes, but also that I am the standard in PWA.
Absolutely. Man, look, there's so much we didn't get to talk about, and I know you have to get to training because you have a huge tournament coming up, obviously.
Yeah. Just a tournament,
Yeah. Just a tournament, just any other tournament, no?
Just your average Saturday, Sunday.
Friday,
Saturday tournament.
The biggest tournament in Australian professional wrestling, the biggest tournament in indie wrestling, in my opinion. I think there's going to be some really important eyes on this show. I think that this is going to be Australia's coming out party with some of the guys that we've got. I mean, we didn't even talk about Travis Banks is in the tournament.
Like, all right, you have guys like Travis Banks, Orange Cassidy. All these international superstars. You have someone like Rory Gulak, who is a legitimate grappler who wasn't able to, get into the Colosseum tournament. That's how competitive it is right now.
Yeah.
But Colosseum, we wanted it to shape up to be the equivalent of what bowler is in the US. We want Colosseum to be, that pilgrimage that people want to make to, experience Aussie wrestling. And I'm just going to quickly say, when we look back at Colosseum, we're going to notice, or we're going to realize that the Colosseum was the event that really was the catalyst to a massive spike and a big rise, a big boom in, Aussie pro wrestling. So Colosseum's shaping up to be something out of this world.
I really believe that too, man. I truly believe it, and I'm on board, and I'm coming up. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there. So I'm definitely looking forward to shaking your hand and saying hi and all that stuff. You're actually the first person to compete in 2 Colosseums.
I am. I am the only person so far to compete in 2 Colosseums.
That's crazy.
I'm breathing some rare air here.
Yeah, one of a kind.
Let's hope I go viral again.
Yes, do it. All right. Well, where can people find you if they want to see you and help you go viral? Where can they find you online?
You know what? I do have a Facebook page, but I don't use it too much. I need to revamp it. But mainly on Twitter. I am on Twitter at TS Ricky South and on Instagram as Tuff Stuff RS. Both are my main forms. I love Twitter. I love Instagram. I use them the most.
Yeah.
So follow me there. And also wrestler merch as well. And just follow the PWA page.
Absolutely. And so much we didn't get to talk about. I'm going to have to get you on at another point in time to talk about other
Part
stuff
2,
as
baby.
well. Yeah, part 2. We'll have a part 2 coming soon. But thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Thank you very much. Look forward to part 2.
Awesome. All right, so there you have it. Ricky South. He wants Matty Wahlberg in the final match. He wants to stand across and prove that he is the standard in PWA. And looking at the brackets, it's possible it could happen. We could get a Ricky South versus Matty Wahlberg final. How great that would be, seeing these two PWA Academy stalwarts just face off over the sword that they've got. What's the name of the sword this time around? I keep forgetting. Green Thunder. The fight for Green Thunder. It would be amazing to see Ricky South and Matty Wahlberg in the fight for Green Thunder. But seriously, the bracket is so stacked. Orange Cassidy, Jessica Troy, Matty Wahlberg, Chris Basso, Ricky South, Davis Storm, Sam Osborne, and Travis Banks. How can you pick a winner? Any one of them could conceivably win it, except for maybe Orange Cassidy. I don't see Orange Cassidy walking out with the win, but pretty much any of the others could feasibly win this tournament. It's insane. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get there. And Ricky South, of course, is a strong contender. He's a very, very strong contender. So thanks so much for coming on the show, Ricky. And if you like that interview and you like other Aussie Grappler interviews, you can check out On the Turnbuckle this week. Dowie James stopped by, my new favorite Dowie James. I'm calling him Antifa Dowie. You've got CK Dowie, you've got Super Dowie, you've got Karate Dowie in Underworld Wrestling, and now we've got Antifa Dowie. He's turned on the fans and he hates people who prop up capitalism. But, buy a Dowie shirt. I don't know. Dowie James was on the Turnbuckle. Have a listen to it. It's a wonderful interview. He and Tony Shebeki. Tony Shebeki's been sort of, going at him and burying him about his burial of the fans for a few weeks now on the podcast. And so they finally go face to face and hash it out. And it actually ended up being quite respectful, which isn't what I expect from Antifa Dowie. It's not what I expect from, Boomer Tony either. But, have a listen to it. It was a pretty good interview. I'm a big fan of what the On the Turnbuckle boys do. And if you want to get out and support local wrestling this weekend, that's what we're all about here. This weekend in Victoria, PCW present their usual Slam and Ignition events at the Southeastern Entertainment Centre. Also in Melbourne on Saturday, NAW celebrate the end of footy season in Albion. In New South Wales on Saturday, AWF are at Mothership Studios in Marrickville for Ladder to Glory. On Sunday, in New South Wales, Wrestling Go present You Go Girls 2 at the Marion Community Centre. Jessica Troy, Kellyanne, 2 out of 3 falls, can't miss it. Silver medal match. Definitely get out to that one if you're in the area. There is no reason. It's an amazing match. It's an all-women's show. You got to get out there. In Tasmania, TCW Rogue takes place on Saturday. Go back in the archives. If you're from Tasmania, even if you're not, go back in the archives. Listen to the chat I had last week with Liam Lacey. Yes, there is wrestling in Tasmania. Get around it. Over in Perth, WPW, all ages at the Baldivis Recreation Centre on Saturday night. In Adelaide, PWSA present No Man's Land on Saturday. And on Sunday, Wrestle Rampage return to Lion Arts for Ground Zero. So go to the Facebook, get your tickets, get around it, Go out, support the boys and girls of Australian professional wrestling, cheer the good guys, boo the bad guys, buy a shirt, and support this thing that we all love. And if you want to support us here at the B+, you can do so at patreon.com/the B+. Sorry, Dowie. You can also follow me on social media at the Greg Unchained on Instagram, at Greg Unchained on Twitter, and Station Head, where I spin tunes while I prepare for some of these shows. We also have the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit. The B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Like, share, subscribe, 5-star review if you like what we do, and thank you so much for listening.